Welcome to Film in 5D, the show about everything film with the a7s II. I'm Aaron Hammock, and this week I'm giving you my top 5 predictions for the a7s III, which is hopefully coming out later this year. So I already did a predictions or wish list video for this camera over a year ago, but with so many delays and new information coming out and new competitors with new cameras coming out, I figured that it was time before the camera finally gets announced that I should update that video. Except this time I will only be giving you my top 5 predictions as they stand. So just to recap, here's what I said last time. Number 1, same new features from the a7 and the a7R III. These won't even make my list because it was so obvious. Number 2 was 4K 60p slow-mo. Number 3 was a 5K 16 megapixel resolution sensor. Number 4 was improved 5-axis stabilization. And number 5 was the highest dynamic range of the DSLR mirrorless cameras. Now, since I made those predictions well over a year ago, a lot has changed, particularly when it comes to the competition. Arguably the hottest camera right now is the Pocket Cinema camera 4K from Blackmagic Design. That micro four thirds camera has HDR, 4K 60, a touchscreen, 2 card slots, and much more. This is one of the main reasons I think Sony has delayed the a7s III. The competition is just really stepping it up across the board, and they want to blow us away, and I believe they will, despite having to add all of these features to a sensor that is essentially 4 times the size, which is full frame versus micro four thirds. So with that, here are my updated predictions with the Sony a7s III. Number 1, 4K 60. At this point, I would be absolutely shocked if they did not include this feature. They might as well not even launch the camera if they don't include this, as it's become the standard across most other camera manufacturers at this point. I mean, the Panasonic S1 already has full frame 4K 60, 10-bit video, and that's been out for a few months. And their SH1, which is announced for later this year, is going to have 6K 24p, although that 6K is at a 3:2 ratio, so not 16:9. It's mainly going to be used for anamorphic D-squeeze, so it's not going to actually be 6K, though I think it's going to be 6K in length. I'm not really sure how that's all going to work, but I'd be very surprised not to see at least 4K 60p video in the new Sony a7s III. But the question becomes, will the body size remain the same as it has for the a7 and the a7R IIIs? Which leads me to my next prediction. Number 2, 10-bit video internally. Now, last time I did this video, I don't believe I predicted 10-bit internally. If anything, I was predicting that it would be an external feed of 10-bit. But at this point, with the competition doing this very thing and the endless delays of the a7s III over the past year, I expect that it will indeed record 10-bit internal, HDR video, and all that stuff. And this next one is big for me. Number 3, SDI or full HDMI out for external recorders. Now, I know that the a7R III has SDI on board, but I'm not quite clear on if it's a video out or if it's just for timecode generators. If you know, please leave your answer in the comments below. I'd love to read it and find that out. But regardless, I really feel like the a7s III will have either an SDI or a full-size HDMI port. And I really hope that it does, because I've been using Adamus recorders for 5 years now, and I would really appreciate a more solid, reliable port with a lockable connection, especially if it's SDI, versus that little rinky-dink mini HDMI Type D. Now, number 4 is 6K video at 24p, which will mean a sensor size of around 24 megapixels, which in my opinion is the sweet spot for photo resolution as well. That's kind of what I've always wanted in my a7s, which would be a huge bump, a double bump up from that 12 megapixel sensor. I spent a good amount of time in my last prediction video over a year ago complaining about that 12 megapixel sensor and how I wanted a sensor that was at least 50% higher resolution, or in this case, 100% higher. Well, since I believe that this will in fact be the case, 6K video makes sense since it's going to be that 24 megapixel sensor. Even if it's only available at 24 frames per second, 24p, I think it will be a huge advantage over the competition. It's just going to be interesting to see how the body is able to handle that amount of heat at that 6K resolution. because the bodies are so small now. That's why I'm questioning, will it be the same size as the A7 and A7R3s? I think it might actually be a little bit thicker, like we saw with the Panasonic S1 and SH1. Now, finally, number 5, I'll keep this one simple and just combine a bunch of features all at once that I definitely expect to see in the updated A7s. Number 1, improved IBIS for primes, which give them full 5-axis stabilization, all those things. 2, dual SD card slots for both more total space and, more importantly, simultaneous writing for backups. 3, a touchscreen that flips all the way up into selfie mode, which would be a lot of people have been asking for that in a Sony. Now, one that I won't add, but that I certainly am hoping for, is a new S-Log picture style. Ideally one that requires a bit less ISO in the 400 to 800 range, which will also hopefully result in less noise, which has been my biggest issue with S-Log 3, which I feel has great skin tones and great roll-off in the highlights and great shadow detail, but there's a lot of noise and gross issues in artifacting going on. So with all the delays of the A7S III, the question becomes, what will truly make this camera stand out from the competition, which has clearly caught up by now? My answer is twofold. I imagine a smaller form factor of the Sony Alphas will remain, and 2, many of the usable video resolutions and frame rates will not crop in on the sensor. They'll actually use the full sensor at all times, which things like the Lumix cameras, the Panasonic cameras tend to do. They tend to crop in on those sensors. This is because Sony has gotten particularly good at squishing more detail without pixel binning and aliasing issues like that. So it results in an overall better image, more detailed image, and they're still using that full sensor, which is what you're really paying for. I just hope that all these delays haven't put Sony so far behind, and I do hope that when they finally announce this camera later this year, it truly revolutionizes the way we shoot. But we'll see what happens. Let me know your predictions in the comments below, and we'll check back in once it's finally released and I place my pre-order. Also, if you're interested in any of the cameras or gear I mentioned in this video, go ahead and check them out through my Amazon links, which are listed in the description below. Whenever you purchase on my Amazon links, it helps to support the channel, and I really do appreciate it. Especially if you want to see more videos like this one, definitely recommend using my links.
Hey guys, this is Feature Aaron. By the time this goes up, Sony has an event today, the 16th, which is supposed to be for 7 a.m. my time, 10 a.m. Eastern time, where they're possibly going to announce the A7S III. We'll see. If they do, I'll definitely follow this video up immediately with a reactions video to that. Though I don't think they will. I think they're going to hold off on that until, September, October range. They're probably going to announce a new RX camera tomorrow, and maybe a new A6500, A6400 successor, the A6800, who knows? And maybe a A9, but we'll see. I highly doubt that. Let me know in the comments below if you have any predictions about what they're going to announce right now. By the time you guys watch this, it might already be up. Who knows? I'm going to try to get this video out before the event goes live, so we'll see. I'll see you in the comments.
But that's it for this week. If you enjoyed this content and want more prediction videos like this one, hit that like button. And if you have any additional questions, go ahead and leave a comment below, along with the other questions I asked you to do. And if you want to send me an @mention on Twitter at Filmin5D, I'll DM you back on there as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the logo on screen for updates on my new videos when they come out. If you want to learn more about Sony Alpha cameras, check out my blog on my website. Also, check out my most recent video by clicking the button on screen. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.